Alrighty, welcome to episode 140 of Tokwa's Ask Us Anything. As usual, it's been a pretty busy news week. Tesla's chairwoman Robin Denholm has come under challenge in the lead up to next week's annual shareholder meeting. US-based share proxy firm ISS has recommended its clients vote against Robin Denholm's reappointment. Tesla Europe has officially announced its Midnight Cherry Red as being available in Europe. It has further stated that this replacement of the previous red multicoat would be available in the Middle East later this year. Tesla's Model Y was the world's third most sold vehicle according to leading automotive industry analysts JATO Dynamics. In addition, Tesla's Model 3 rounded out JATO's top 10 list in 10th place. Tesla has officially broken ground at its South Texas lithium refinery. The facility, which is due to be completed next year, will be capable of refining enough lithium to manufacture 1 million EVs. The groundbreaking ceremony provided Tesla with an ideal opportunity to show off a first of many Cybertruck accessories in the form of a custom semi-enclosed roof rack. Tesla's Gigafactory Austin in Texas has passed the 5,000 car per week production barrier this week. If sustained, this performance would translate to an annual production rate in excess of 250,000 units, less than 6 weeks since its production rate passed 4,000 units per week. And that was this week's news. Indeed it was, and welcome everyone to another week of Asking Us Anything. As is tradition, if there's anyone who is new and would like to say hello, please do so in the next couple of seconds after you've unmuted yourselves.
While people unmute themselves, just quickly, Harold wanted to mention the Tokwa go-karts. So we've only got 6 tickets left. So if anyone's a financial member, they should have received an email from Secretary at Tokwa. And yeah, the saving is about $20 versus a normal ticket, which pays for an annual membership at Tokwa. So even if you're not a member, it's definitely worthwhile becoming one. And you can join Tokwa just on Tokwa, so tocwa.org.au.
Absolutely. Thanks, Pete. Alrighty. So that was not a pregnant pause. That was a proper news item. Would anyone like to say hello now or maybe a bit later? Later's always good if you like to. All right, we'll go for later. Has anyone got any news items apart from Pete? I think there was some Ford Mustang thing that was apparently released today. It's really compelling value, apparently. Not
at all.
Not more expensive than the Y. Why are you going to get it?
But so
because
the
it's
price,
a Ford.
And it's got a knob in the middle of the screen.
Oh, so I thought you were going to say
that was
something
the
else.
driver.
I'm leaving the joke to the imagination.
As are all best jokes left.
the pricing came in, so the before on-roads pricing was more expensive than the drive-away Model Y pricing. And the Model Y's got more, so they've got 3 variants similar to the standard range, the long range, and the performance in the Model Y. And if you compare them against each other, in each of the variants, the Model Y's fastest got longer range, and as we know, it's a much better car, and it's got much better driver assistance features. So,
And don't forget
No-brainer.
the cheaper one, which is about 90,000. Ford are making a humongous $90,000 loss on a $90,000 car.
yeah.
So why are they making them in the first place?
Because they're hoping. I mean, don't forget Tesla made huge losses on some of their first cars as well. So as they ramp them up and the economies of scale start to trickle through, then the idea is that they'll eventually get into a profit-making situation. But they're so far behind, both financially and technologically. You just got to wonder if, I wouldn't be surprised if they're not here in the next 5 to 10 years.
I think they're more likely to be here than some of the Japanese car companies.
True. Well, it's the only manufacturer that hasn't needed any government funding to help it survive during the GFC, and so.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. So, is anyone that's fairly new that's got any new questions that they'd like us to answer? Perhaps a charging question. In fact, I've got a Dorothy Dixer. There's apparently been a little bit of talk around some forums about HPWCs, which is the Tesla high power wall connector, seemingly not being compatible with solar. Uh, we believe we've had a few inquiries, a few emails coming in asking something like that. Ken, can you maybe describe what the sort of thrust of the question was?
Yeah, look, I think the impression that people seem to get is that if you've got solar, you can't have an HPWC because it draws too much current on a single phase, or you can't tie it into your solar, or and therefore it's the wrong thing to buy, and therefore they should be getting something else. I could only assume that the chat has come from someone who'd like to sell them something else, but that's an assumption on my part. But yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah, cool. Now it just so happens I've got a Fronius solar web. Actually, I'll just put the screen up. This is nothing personal. This is my workplace, and in fact today we were closed. So this, and we all remember what today was. There was a little bit of crappy weather in the morning, and then it sort of fined up a little bit, and whatever. This is actually a 6.6 kilowatts of panels on a Fronius 5 kilowatt hybrid inverter, and this was today. So you can actually see, because we're closed, there was just a bit of a background consumption of roughly 300 watts, which maybe for an average house is a little bit more than some houses would do. But you could obviously always imagine that a house would have aircon in the morning, as a heater, and you've got some stuff later on in the evening. But what you can see here is actually, I'll just go back. You can basically, it's also got I think it's a 7 or 8 kilowatt hour LG battery hooked up to it. So in the green, you can see it was charging the battery, and after then, there's a little bit going to the grid. Now let me just change screens to make sure there's nothing private. Oh yeah, this is a great screen. So today, this workplace exported a whole 4.71 kilowatt hours. So that's all it could scrape together as surplus to requirements. So you can imagine, well, if you had something like a Zappi or something else, or even if you were just judiciously using your charging system, whether it's changing the current on your car, I mean, you could have just plugged in a 10 amp UMC, which came for free with the car in many cases, and even now it's $750 from Tesla. You've got a whole 4.7 kilowatt hours spare, so that's 2 hours of charging at 10 amps single phase. Now, if you needed more than that in your car, it doesn't really matter by which means you delivered that to your car. So a great thing about a HPWC is that if you've got a 3-phase house, you can charge your car at 11 kilowatts. If you've got a single-phase house, now basically everywhere in WA, you can charge at 7.6 kilowatts. Your solar in winter is never, it's going to struggle to provide enough power just for your house, even some of the time. And unless you've got battery storage, you're not going to, you're going to be consuming excess grid power, in the morning and in the evening. So you shouldn't get too worried about how you're charging your car or what you're charging it with. As we've discussed many, many times on Ask Us Anything, if you invest a lot of money in elaborate charging equipment, you're basically prepaying what you believe to be the future benefits that you think you're going to get in return from getting free solar later on. And as we've shown many times, the likelihood of doing that, if you have a 9-to-5 job that you have to go somewhere and you're not retired and you're not doing low Ks, you're never going to get that investment back. So don't sweat the HPWC is too powerful or whatever. Do what is convenient to you so that your experience of having an EV is as pleasant as it can be. You shouldn't have to suffer really any compromise anymore just because you've got an EV. Those days have gone. As we're seeing with the WEV network, very soon you'll be able to drive from Perth to Kununurra, Perth to Eucla, Perth to Kalgoorlie, Albany, etc., using nothing but high-speed, fast DC chargers. And that's the way it should be. So don't punish yourself by forcibly trying to wring out every last little bit of efficiency, especially if you've got, like most of us, a 6.6 kilowatts of panels and a 5 kilowatt inverter, forgetting even if you've got batteries or not. Pete, you got anything you want to add to that?
No, like exactly as you said, owning an EV these days is actually more convenient than owning a internal combustion engine car. So, by exactly as you said, by trying to squeeze out an extra few watt hours and making it less convenient is just not, sustainable in the long run. So why do it to yourself? So yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's perfectly fine with prepaying your kilowatt hours as long as the payback period is there. So, if you prepaid X amount and means you get it all back in 3 to 5 years, that's fantastic. But if you get it back in 20 to 40 years, well, that's not that fantastic at all. So then you're not really prepaying something because the equipment's not going to last that long. You're not going to be in the house that long. So you're effectively throwing money down the drain.
But by all means, look, there is some satisfaction of doing this efficiency thing, wringing out the last bit of surplus solar, maximizing the panels on your roof that you're allowed to do. And not all decisions are economic ones. Sometimes you have a little bit of satisfaction and, however you want to phrase it. So if you want to do it for that, then definitely do it for that reason, but be clear that that's why you're doing it, not because it makes economic sense.
But where's the satisfaction coming from? Because you're not doing anything more for the planet. You're not changing anything on the network really in any meaningful way. So there is, there's no sort of real benefit to doing it. And don't forget, apart from the Zappies and the, solar edge chargers that can prioritize solar, there's also, well, at the moment, for the time being at least, some of those software solutions like Charge HQ, which cost nothing. So, and which do it all automatically for you in the background. And I think they're compatible with the Fronius, Solar Edge.
They're compatible with anything because all they do is they drive the car. So they're compatible with the UMC. They're compatible with any charger you've got.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry, I was talking about inverters. Solar.
Oh, right. Yes. Sorry. Yes. From the solar side. Yep.
And Tesla have actually, there have been some screenshots taken of people disassembling the Tesla app. I presume that's how they do it, or emulating it. And that shows that Tesla, certainly in the United States, or North America, is going to introduce charging on solar. I think that's this stage it relies on you having a Powerwall, which it uses as the metering system. But there's nothing to say that Tesla won't adapt and do what third parties have already done and open up the API so that you can basically give Tesla your Fronius or SolarEdge or other inverter credentials and for the car to manage it perfectly well all by itself for free.
So I have one little devil's advocate question then that I've seen as one of the other arguments. Is people who have got 32 amp 3-phase and therefore if they install 16 amp 3-phase charging, they're gonna eat all of their current, and how are they going to manage that?
Sorry, you mean 32 amp single? If it was single?
No, people have been told by their installer that their house only has 32 amp 3-phase, and
which it does.
Yep. Which means, if you're charging at 11 kilowatts, you're going to use half of that, and then you're going to trip the breaker all the time, and blah 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 nonsense.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting because for that to happen, the rest of your house would have to consume another 11 kilowatts, which is actually a fair whack.
Yes, quite. Unless, of course, you had some large load on a single phase, or something
like an
that.
induction cooktop or something. Which, I mean, look, I guess the correct answer to that is these days, if the electrician thinks that the overall, in fact, they are obliged to do a load assessment. And if, well, all new practice now is for a new installation, all houses must have a three-phase, must have a 32 amp three-phase circuit breaker as their main switch, so that if the worst came to the worst, it would trip that breaker and then you'd know about it. Now, if that happened, and that would only happen if you've got your car running flat stick, you've got a single phase induction cooktop that could be pulling 7 kilowatts. So then you've got 4 kilowatts left, and maybe a kettle or something that happened to be on the same phase, or something else, a pool pump.
Air conditioner.
Or some single phase air conditioners, yes, yep, or even three-phase ones for that matter, going flat stick. Then all you'd have to do is knock down your current from 16 amps down to 15 or 14, but you're still drawing 10 kilowatts or 9 kilowatts. And that's not really, a Zappi isn't actually going to fix that, because the premise here is, in fact, a Zappi will not ever, well, for anyone that's got solar, will not ever provide 11 kilowatts to your car with the solar. It can do it if you press an override button that says, you know, I don't care, I just want to be charged now. And that is no difference between a Zappi and any other EVSE car charger. When they're going flat stick, they will offer as much as they've been connected to, which is what the electrician has set the unit to do. So
and even then, there's no way a Zappi is going to react fast enough for an instantaneous load that might trip.
No, that's right. Yeah, that's right. You know, circuit breakers have two mechanisms. There's a thermal mechanism which allows for a slow heat soak, so that you can only take them up to about 20% above rated. So 32 amps, you can pull 33, 34 basically forever. Once you pull about 35, the whole thing goes out on the thermal. There's like a little heater in there and a bimetal strip, and it will just click off. But then if you say pull 50 amps on a 32 amps breaker, it will pop within not quite a fraction of a second, but you know, pretty close to a second, because it goes out on magnetic trip. And if you put it dead short, it pops in half a cycle. So this notion that the HPWC, I think some electricians might be slightly misinformed, or maybe just exaggerating, or it's just something that's unfamiliar to them, because they're not familiar with an 11 kilowatt load that can run for 3 hours. You know, it's just something they're not familiar with in houses. But it's something that's going to be, that, you know, is here, and it's easily dealt with.
Harold, I've just shared
Yes.
an out from Bill Johnson on single phase homes. You can see they're lifting the installation to 63 amps for the main switch. So for single phase connections.
Yes. So this is the case when you had a single phase house in the country, or in regional
it's
areas.
Metro as well.
No, Metro. I don't think there's anywhere Metro where you have a 32 amp single phase supply. So all of the Metro ones are 63 amp single phase. But there was the anomaly, not an anomaly, but there was a situation where in rural areas they restricted the supply to 32 amps single phase, which meant that if you used, well, that's the entire capacity that your car can charge at. So there's actually a gentleman in Merredin who had a Kona, or has a Kona, and he had this exact thing happen, whereby his boundary fuse popped, and Western Power came in and replaced it. And then, I don't know, a number of days later, the same thing happened. And they basically said to him, if you pop it a third time, we're going to charge you money for it. So what he had to basically do, because his Kona just drew 32 amp single phase, which was his whole house's allocation. So he basically had to dial down his Kona to only charge at, 15 amps or something like that. So the rest of the house could consume the rest. So that's just one situation that Bill Johnson, as Pete has shown, has announced. They did a trial where they allowed some people to to draw them more power. They upped their boundary fuse, and they found that the network didn't melt down, that on average people don't all go flat out pulling the 63 amps or thereabouts. So that's a great thing for single phase houses. Speaking of which, one thing that's deadly, it's not deadly, it's something that no one should do, it's actually not technically legal to do, is if you have a three-phase house, you should not use one of those single-phase UMC tails, or it's a three-phase tail, but it only draws through one phase, because you'll pull 32 amps through that one phase, and that's the maximum that phase is allowed to supply. And by definition, you are unbalancing your house, because your house will have other loads connected to that phase. It has to, because electricians are obliged to balance the houses when they wire them up, and they're supposed to balance them fairly well, actually. So please don't use one of those three-phase UMC tails in something, say, like a three-phase outlet in your three-phase house.
But perfectly fine on a single phase.
But a single-phase house, perfectly fine. If you do need to use it for whatever reason, make sure you dial down the current in your car to well below the 32 amps, maybe 20 amps, something like that. But look, the easiest thing to do and the most convenient if you own a house is just go and buy yourself a Tesla HPWC, the high power wall connector. It's $750.
$750, yep.
And it's generally in stock. And any electrician can install it. It's just an appliance. It doesn't need special installation or special skills or technical knowledge. And the great thing is, with time, software will improve the function of that high power wall connector to do clever things like integrating solar, time of use. It could participate in all sorts of things. One thing we know is that the AEMO and other energy providers and distributors are desperately looking for solutions to the grid, and EVs are a huge part of that. And we all know Tesla will be a part of that. They will become part of the solution, not the problem. So we'll get new features.
With the wall connectors, there's a generation 2 and a generation 3 one that's on sale on the Tesla website. So for anyone
in Australia,
yeah, I thought there still was.
I don't know about it.
All right.
I think they have removed the Gen 2 now. If you go to the if you go to the link at 404s now, so I think it's gone.
Oh, okay. I'll take that back. That must have been only a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we got Gen 3, 7.3 meters for $750. The wall connector, pedestal, the faceplate, cable organizer, and mobile charging. That's it, Pete.
Annoyingly, if you go into the thing, there's a link to the Gen 2, but it's actually now a dead link.
Options.
So it used to be there, but now it's dead. So someone at Tesla, if they're watching, could probably remove that from the text.
That'd be nice, Elon. Once you finish testing live tweeting and streaming and stuff, just jump onto tesla.com. I believe the URL is for that, and you know what to do.
No.
Enough of that. Okay.
Enough of that. Thanks for addressing that.
Yeah, no worries. It's just good. Like I said, it's not all that. Sometimes people will say things with good intentions, but sometimes you get unfavorable outcomes, or people come to incorrect conclusions or suboptimal conclusions.
So can I just ask?
Yes, Michelle.
That HPWC you're just talking about, my house, I believe, is single phase. Like there's no 3-phase here.
Yep.
Is that what I should get?
Yep. It works perfectly. The great thing is, in fact, to be honest, all of the EVSEs pretty much work single phase or 3-phase mode. They don't really care generally. And the HPWC certainly doesn't. So you can use the HPWC and you can connect it. Oh, actually, Michelle, you're down south, but you just have to check with the electrician. There is, depending on where you are, you'll either have a supply that is 63 amps, single phase, or 32. Now,
Yeah.
if it's 32, as Bill Johnson has declared in the media statement, you are able to get your supply upgraded to 63 amps. But to do that, you'll need to hire an electrician to do that upgrade for you. Effectively, the electrician, it's the electrician's task or responsibility to do that upgrade. And then
Yeah.
Western Power will fit, I presume, or get the electrician to fit a larger boundary fuse.
Okay.
From memory, was that at no cost as well?
No, the upgrade's at no cost, but you've got to do the retrofit
Right.
of your switchboard yourself.
Yes. Yeah. There may be internal wiring work that you need to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Such as fit a 63 amp circuit breaker as your main switch, which you probably don't have now. You've probably got a Bakelite or whatever, a black main switch, an old-fashioned one. So, but you can absolutely do that at any time. You can basically contact an electrician if that's the case that you've only have 32 amps single
Yeah.
phase.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Harold?
Thank you.
Harold,
Oh, sorry, yes.
Harold, it's Mark here. Just a cautionary tale.
Yes, Mark.
Got the HPWC installed a few months back. And in the first couple of weeks, it's going along fine and all the rest of it. And then I decided I was going to go all out one day, and the lights went out in the entire house. We blew the boundary fuse, looked at the boundary fuse and felt it, and it was boiling hot. Got Western Power out, and fortunately they turned up in around about 10 minutes. They're just around the corner, so it was absolutely fantastic. Takes one look at it, and it's a 1984-85 house, but the boundary fuse was 32 amps. So when he replaced it, however, he didn't replace it with a 60 amp fuse, he replaced it with a 50. So just be a little bit wary about what fuse you've got on the boundary, because it may not take the full 63 amps, depending on what Western Power person you've actually got at the time. Now, I'm wary that I've got the 50 amps, so I'm aware of that, and I really don't need too much more. But I really was on the limit when we blew the house, and my wife was very upset with me.
So, Mark, what you should do is, unfortunately, this will probably cost you the price of an electrician, is now to apply to have 63 amps. Because what I dare say is, well, you probably didn't have a 63 amp RCD as your main switch. In fact, you certainly wouldn't have.
Yeah.
So if you get an electrician to fit, and I think this is all they have to do, and just make sure that the cabling is up to it, but fit a 63 amp circuit breaker as your main switch, then you can get Western Power to come back and give you whatever the boundary fuse is for that kind of supply. I don't know whether it's 63 amps or whether they chuck a 80 amp in or something, whatever they
It was
do.
just interesting just to note what the amperage of the fuse was, and it could be that you think you've actually got a 63 amp connection, and they've put a 50 amp in. Now, the number of times you're going to draw that full 50 amps is going to be very, very minor. But just in the back of your mind, as long as you know about it, then you're prepared for it. But I mean, the HPWC is brilliant as far as I'm concerned. It's just there the whole time. UMC stays in the front, and that's the perfect way of dealing with it, as far as I'm concerned. You've got the best of both worlds.
Yep, absolutely. But that's great. That's great. A great experience. I mean, it's not a great experience, but it's great to share that experience.
Well, when I've been hung, drawn, and quartered by the wife, then once I got through that, then it was a fine experience.
And anyway, after all, now you've scored yourself an extra 18 amps. So, you know, it's all about the amperage.
Exactly.
But
it is all about the amperage. It's just nice to have it on tap when I need it. I hardly need it, so I do work from home, so it's great to just charge off the solar. And I just keep an eye. Mine's not a flash solar. It's been around since 2016, so it's only got a Bluetooth connection. But I just keep an eye on it while I'm charging, and just basically follow it up the curve, so that I'm not pulling all the solar and plus the grid. And then after that, we're all good.
Excellent. Awesome.
Harold,
Nigel.
There's a question in the chat that I think should be answered on the video rather than just type a message to the guy. It's a common...
You read it to me, Nigel, and I'll get the answer ready.
Hi there. Wanted to get suggestions where to charge and any cables I would need to bring for a Perth Cervantes Pinnacles Lobster Shack birthday trip.
Nice.
So,
For
Alrighty.
plug share and slim pickings.
So I'm
Yes.
happy to take some of that question because I've just done that trip on last Friday. Took my dad to the Pinnacles. So we went from Joondalup to the Lobster Shack, had lunch there, then did the Pinnacles and then came back. We did that in the Model Y rear-wheel drive, so probably didn't really need to charge, but there was quite a strong headwind on the way back. So I thought, oh, look, I don't really want to be driving back at 90 kilometres an hour. You know, I had two other people with me, so I thought I'll just go and plug in at the Lobster Shack because they're on plug share and they had I counted at least 4 3-phase outlets that were spare and about 3 15-amp ones that were spare. But I did the right thing and went and asked the manager. And she said, no, unfortunately, we had someone ask about it today. The owner has said no more EV charging at the Lobster Shack. So, you know, try to explain to her that, you know, in a few years' time, a big percentage of her customers will probably be coming in EVs and they're not doing the business any favours by not allowing the charging. So she did say that the owner was thinking about possibly getting a charger, but she said we just can't have people charging here, there and everywhere. But she recommended I go to the post office. I ended up just going to the Pinnacles Resort. They've got a HPWC or a destination charger there, and they're on PlugShare as well. On PlugShare, it says to pay $10. So I rang them, and they said that they had nothing to do with the charger. I would have to ring Tesla if I wanted to use it. So I did my. So yeah, suffice to say, I did ring Tesla and just plugged the car in and got a nice charge, and then just walked back to the Lobster Shack. So it was very comfortable.
So what sort of car does the guy have? Because that'll make a difference as well. Because if it's a long range or something.
No,
Didn't
it's
say.
Paula here, guys.
Oh.
I got a Model Y, just a
Yeah.
regular one, not the
Standard
performance
range.
Yeah, so that's the same
So,
car that I went in.
yeah.
Yeah. So look, if it's not too windy or if it's not too rainy, where are you coming from in Perth, by the way?
In Swan
Okay.
area.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you've sort of you should be right to make it there and back, unless it is rainy or windy. If it is, then you know, you just slow down to make it. But yeah, you can charge at that Pinnacles Resort. I had no issues charging there. It was perfectly fine. But there is also a charger apparently at the post office, but I didn't check that one out. Yeah, that's the charger there.
And I guess the other option is a pit stop at Lancelin.
Yeah, as a plan B. Yeah. Now, when you see where that car is, that grey Model 3, or actually where Harold's Model X is there, you can see. So so where Harold is parking, there is now that's now a disabled parking bay. So you can just park, you know, one bay off to the right, and the cable's plenty long enough to reach even along to the, you know, rear passenger side where the charge port is. So it's not an issue at all. But yeah, it's now a disabled parking there now.
In other words, you'd park here, Pete. So
Exactly,
not this
yeah.
one, but there.
Yeah, so that spot there that's vacant in that picture has got a big disabled parking sign there now. So, and you don't need
A
any
few questions on that. So you said you had to ring Tesla?
Oh no. So it was just a lack of experience from the staff. So when she said, you know, ring Tesla, it means I don't know what to do. Ring Tesla, but Tesla literally has nothing to do with it. So basically,
the venue has changed ownership since the HPWC got installed, and the new owners kind of have no idea. But it's still there, it's still functional, and they don't seem to be unhappy. It was misbehaving for a while. I think someone had turned it off, but it's good to hear that it's back online.
It is. So when I got there, the switch was off. So Paolo, when you get to the charger, I switched it off because it was switched off when I got there. So I left it the way I found it. But yeah, if you get to the charger, if you look up about a meter above the actual charger, there's a isolation switch there. Yep.
Yeah, you can see it you can see it on the wall there. Yeah, you just need to flick that on.
So just if the green light's not on, you just got to flick that on, and then you should be right. It's a destination charger, so it comes with its own cable, so you don't need any sort of special cable.
All right, that was the next question.
Yeah.
So sorry, dumb question. So apologies for ignorance. Did you say that you had to pay $10 to the reception to use it?
No.
I don't think that's the case any longer. So as Ken mentioned, I think that's an old post there on PlugShare, and maybe that was the policy of the previous owners. So the previous owners had a policy that if you stayed at the resort, you didn't have to pay. If you weren't staying there, they asked you for a $10 payment. So, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
basically, pull in there, switch it on, and plug, and you're good to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So as soon as you plug in, just wait a couple of seconds. So you'll notice the T logo next to the port, and you want to see that T logo start flashing green, and that's your confirmation that the car is in fact charging. And
what's the speed of that charger? Sorry.
It's 11 kilowatts. So in the Model Y, you'll get about 70 kilometers an hour, roughly.
I think it's 80, Pete.
Depending on how you drive. If you're driving back into the wind, it'll be 70 or less. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And
Paul, so just very quickly. I'll go, Ken, and I'll go after. Go. I was just going to say, make sure you... I'll go for it. Sorry. Make sure you've got your car set to 100%. So you've got a standard range Model Y, a rear-wheel drive Model Y. Mm-hmm. Make sure you leave home at 100%. In fact, if you haven't done so already, make sure the charge slider is always at 100% for any standard range Model Y, and the standard range Model 3s that are younger than about 3 years or so. If you don't see the word daily and trip on your charge screen, you can set your charge percentage to 100% all day, every day. So if you leave at 100%, you'll basically make it back home there and back. But by all means, to have a top up at Cervantes. And sorry, Ken, your go.
No, that's all I was going to do is just picking up on my suggestion of Lancelin in relation to your question. You will, if you do want to go Lancelin, you will need a 2-to-2 cable because the current charger there is a untethered 2-to-2. And my usual advice for that is just buy one from Tesla for $310. They're in stock, or borrow one from the club for the trip.
So if I wanted to borrow one from the club, how do I go about doing that?
Give me a ring on 62623131.
But as Ken said, just if you're not already, just jump on tokwa.org.au and just pay your $20 membership.
And I am a member. I'm already a member.
Perfect.
So,
yeah, perfect. So
so just give Harold a call.
Yep. What was it?
62623131. Yep.
62623131. Thank you.
All good.
So when is Lancelin going to be up and running? You know, that fast charger, the WA one.
I think
2 weeks.
It's pending Western Power connection, so it will be somewhat delayed compared to some of the ones down south. Was the last official word from Synergy. So most of the infrastructure is in place for the charging side, but the actual connection to the grid is delayed, possibly late June.
Yeah, actually,
Or
might be
early
even
July.
July. Actually, Ken.
Yeah.
So Sandra said last night that Albany, Manjimup, Williams, and Walpole are the 4 to hopefully be done by the end of June, which would suggest Lancelin would be a July, and unfortunately, Durham Bay still probably August, September. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think similar for Williams. The infrastructure is there, but the Western Power connection is not yet, but it should be a little bit sooner.
Yeah, I'll go with
guys,
what
had an
Pete said.
interesting-
Pete said the right thing there, Ken. It'll be end of this month.
Yep.
So
I
go,
had an
Michelle.
interesting conversation with some guys working on the one at Walpole the other morning. I
Yes.
pulled up and said, "Whoa, what are you up to, guys? You know, like this looks really good." And he went, "Oh, well, you know, you'll be lucky to have it by the end of the year." And I was like, "Oh, really? Is that right?" And he said, "Yeah, and it won't do you any good." And I said, "Why is that?" And he said, "Because you've got a Tesla, it won't work on Teslas."
Geez, those guys really
Wow.
know their stuff.
Like,
Michelle.
oh my God. And I thought, you know what? I'm just not getting into this conversation.
Yeah, they obviously know their
So-
stuff.
So Michelle, you teach. You're at a school. You charge at
At
the school, don't
Walpole.
you? At
Yeah.
Walpole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So absolutely blew my mind that this guy said both those things.
Hey, Michelle, you should have said, "Would you care to make it interesting?" I'll bet you $100 that I'll be able to charge my car there
So-
on the 15th of July. Give yourself 2
Yeah.
weeks just to be safe.
Oh
So,
man,
Michelle-
I should have.
I've just put my phone number in the chat.
Yeah.
Give me a text in the next few days.
Okay.
Just saying.
Okay.
We might have a coffee.
Oh, okay. No worries.
So, but make it soon. The
Yes.
text, that is.
Yes. Okay.
But like Pete said, there's good news coming by the end of this month.
Oh, yay.
Oh,
Yeah, do
no,
you know
sorry, I'll
what?
take that back. I'll take it back. Sorry, forget what I said. Sorry. That I meant another place. Sorry.
You're gonna have to edit the video again, Harold.
Oh,
it's all right. I meant Walpole.
Yeah.
No, Manjimup, sorry. Manjimup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting
Yeah.
my southwest locations mixed
Yeah.
up. Sorry.
Yeah.
Walpole has the issue of multiple connections in one block of land, points of multiple supply. That at that time, you know where the dump point is, and you got little
Yeah.
we got the toilet block and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
There's historic issues with the previous councils putting in additional supplies or cables that cross each other, and it's got to be, all that spaghetti has to be sort of ripped up and redone.
Yeah.
So he was right that that's going to take a while.
Oh,
Sorry,
so
it was
like
actually
how long are we looking?
Oh, well, only weeks and weeks, not
Oh,
months and
okay.
months. Just
Oh, well,
yeah.
he was telling me we'd be lucky to have it by the end of the year.
No, but
I thought it was a bit ridiculous.
Manjimup is coming along really well.
Well, that's really good because that's where I go to visit my family.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes. Good.
Alrighty. Anyone else got any other questions or comments?
Harold, just while I think about it, we've mentioned HPWC, that phrase, quite a few times. So just for anyone listening, that refers to the high-powered wall connector. On the website, you'll probably just see it as Tesla's wall connector. They've dropped those first 2 words. So they just refer to it as the wall connector. It's also known as the destination charger, because the idea is that, you're really sort of, charging once you've reached your destination. It's not a supercharger that you use on road trips to, top up and off you go. But you can obviously use it for those situations. But it's not really, it's only about that 70, 80 kilometers an hour rather than over 1,000 kilometers an hour on a supercharger.
Yeah, so let's call it a wall connector now. Yeah. Yeah. Good point, Pete. Alrighty. Oh, now someone did ask about Horizon Power. Now, I think, do you recall what Synergy said yesterday, Pete?
About
The Horizon Power network. So
it
their
seems
side
to
of the
be-
charges.
seems to be coming along. The first site they mentioned was going to be, or Sandra mentioned was going to be Broome.
Yes.
Which sounds like might be as early as July, possibly.
Yeah, I think even perhaps June. So next month,
Yep.
which is going to be great. Of course, it'll
And
be
then-
a shag on a rock.
And then I can't remember, she reeled off about 3 or 4 other sites that they were hoping to put in fairly quickly after Broome.
Oh, did she? I didn't
Yeah,
recall that.
I didn't. I might see if I can find out what those were.
But they are clearly coming. I mean, the challenge with a lot of those sites is they're going to be off grid, so they require battery storage, solar panels, the charger itself, and also a backup diesel generator. So they are slightly more complex initially, but fairly quick to deploy because it's on a greenfield site. You just plonk the panels down and all the other associated equipment. And of course, one of the barriers to us going up to Broome these days is that Pardue, I think, Pardue is probably still out of action. And you really need Pardue to charge because when you go further north, it gets a bit bleak. So this is Pardue. You can't really, EVs aren't particularly welcome at Sandfire, unfortunately. And nor are they very welcome at 80 Mile Beach. So you really need Pardue to be running to get to Broome. But Pardue is also going to be a site where Horizon Power is going to put a fast DC charger. But that may be many months away. Alrighty. Anyone else get any other questions or comments?
Yeah, hi, Martin here.
Martin.
I've got a question about leaving my car at the airport for 4 weeks.
Which
So-
car is it, Martin? What sort?
3 long range.
Charger up.
Do
Leave
you?
it.
You're obviously leaving it in long-term parking. It's like, is that going to cost you a fortune to park it there?
Yeah, long-term parking. I'll be driving from Albany, so it won't arrive full. After charging at the Supercharger in Williams, I'll probably get there with about 60%, I'd say.
Yep. Okay, so I guess the simplest answer is yes, you can do this. The best way, what you should probably do, what you should do is turn off Sentry mode, because Sentry mode will consume up to 10% of your battery per day. So, in, let's call it less than 2 weeks, your battery's going to be, it'll get to 20%. Once it does that, then Sentry mode gets turned off forcibly and your car goes into energy saving mode so it doesn't brick the battery. But you can prevent it from doing that in the first place by just turning off Sentry mode. It means, of course, if, any damage occurs to the car, you'll have no record of it except for the damage itself. But that's what you'd need to do to keep your car going for the 4 weeks. And you'll get back to it perfectly fine. It'll probably consume, I don't know, 20% maybe.
Don't forget
probably
to turn off the
Oh,
air conditioning, the keep temperature.
Cabin
Overheat
overheat protection.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
So make sure you turn it off completely. No, don't just turn it off to say there's usually three modes. There's off, there's ventilation only, and there's also air conditioner. Just turn that off and sentry mode.
And then when you're away, refrain from trying to access the app and wake the car up.
And I think there's actually, isn't there under controls? No, it was safety. Is there not security? No, so the cabin overheat protection, you've got to turn that off at the car. However, the sentry mode you can turn off from your phone. But just when you get to the airport, or actually do it when you leave home. So when you leave home, so you don't forget, or before you leave home, turn off sentry mode and turn off cabin overheat protection.
You can
It's
turn
winter
off.
time now, so
You can
you don't
turn off
really-
both on your phone.
I just looked at
So
mine. I didn't see
It's
cabin
in
overheat.
climate, Harold. It's in climate.
Security,
Oh, sorry,
security and
apologies.
drivers is sentry mode, and climate is your overheat protection.
Oh, very good. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You just
And then-
got to slide up. You just got to slide the menu up once you're in climate.
That's the
Oh,
man.
that's it, yeah. Yeah.
That's all right.
On the same topic, does anyone know of any valet parking that will do charging?
There
Yeah,
actually is,
the-
but they cost money.
Airport security parking, only at the Qantas side of things, I think, which used to be the old domestic area. They will plug your car in there, but they will charge you for the privilege. They've got a PowerPoint for it, but not at the Terminal 1-2 area.
No, at terminal 3-4.
Yeah.
And for that period of time, it would be a solid $500-600.
Wouldn't bother.
They'd wash it for you at the same time, but you know.
So worth it. You might as well just buy a decent.
Might as well buy a limo.
scotch,
Get
go-
a
go
limo
to-
ride from
Yeah,
Go to
exactly.
Karen up afterwards and
Yeah. It's
have a
it's
full
already
meal.
worth-
It's still cheaper. Top up on the supercharger there.
But your car will definitely make it, absolutely
Yeah.
make it for a month, provided, and in fact, it will even make it if you don't turn anything off, because what just happens is in a couple of weeks, it'll get down to 20%, and then it will basically go into forced power saving mode where it turns off all the security and environmental stuff anyway. And then it will probably get to 10% by the time in 2 weeks after that. So if you forget, it's not a disaster, but you can change it remotely, as you've seen, and it'll be fine.
Just obviously charge it to as much as you can beforehand.
Yeah, at Williams. Yeah, just top right up at Williams. It goes super quickly. Get to 95% if you're having a coffee or something like that, and you'll be fine.
You'll find that if 2 out of the 3 charges are occupied, you'll be automatically reduced down to 80%. So just wait until the car starts charging, and then you can override to 95 or 100 or wherever you want to be.
Oh, and you've got a long range 3, wasn't it? I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, cool. Try not to forget what I just did yesterday, and that's why. In fact, we'll get to that subject in a moment. But what I did yesterday was I deliberately charged to 100% before an EVA meeting, because I was actually at Synergy headquarters, and I thought I might as well finish charging and balance the battery and all that sort of stuff. I've got a long range Y, or performance Y, same thing, and you can charge to 100, but you shouldn't leave it stewing at 100. Well, I proceeded to forget that I did that, and then today when I got home, I plugged in, thinking, I'll just get back up to 90%. The next thing I looked, I was at 97%, and it's like, oh. So then I decided to go and drive to a car wash to use up the juice, and I guess my car appreciated the wash. But yeah, do try and remember, if you do go up to 95% or 100%, to put the slider back down to the 90, so that next time you don't forget. And the reason why I mentioned that is Tesla actually tweeted out a tweet that said something along the lines of, "Hey, how can we make ourselves better? You know, any suggestions?" And I think at last count there were something like 20 odd thousand, 20,000+ replies, and a lot of us, Pete included, and I think others in the room, gave Tesla a lot of free advice. And the thing I suggested on this note was, if we could have, like, this is for cars that are long range, so you shouldn't charge to 100 generally. It'd be great if you could have like a charge boost button. So you set your slider at 90, you press the boost button. So for the rest of this charging period, it will get to 100%. And when it does, and you've unplugged it, it doesn't change the slider. So the slider still stays at 90, which for us long range cars would be awesome. And I think, Pete, you had quite a few suggestions too.
I can't remember what half of them are now.
But they were good.
So the obvious one is to be able to port your FSD from one card to another. There was quite a few. The one that I feel, it's such a tiny little thing, but I feel quite passionate about it. I don't know why, but so in the glove box, the Teslas now have USB. There's a USB-A slot there that's mainly just used for the flash drive for your Sentry and for your dashcam videos. But it'd be great if there was another USB slot there, and if the glove box was slightly larger, so you could fit a 10 or an 11-inch notebook in there. Because what's great about the Teslas is that the USB ports keep functioning even after you lock up the car. So you could, if your phone was running dead, or your laptop, you could just store it away and lock it in the glove box. Oh, you found it. Very good. And you could come back with the notebook all recharged. So
I like your first one.
Yes. Yeah, definitely need that one. That's a very obvious one. So superchargers and FSD, beta release. So actually on that, Elon Musk said that he's thinking about giving everyone in the US, a 1-month trial of FSD beta for free, but not until it's super smooth, which kind of worries me, because last time he called something super smooth was the summon feature. Oh, no, I think he said it's
silky smooth.
Yeah, silky smooth, yes. If that's silky smooth, then I wouldn't want to see what rough looks like. But
did you see?
Pete, it's silky smooth in the FSD software stack, but not in the outside of the North America stack.
Yeah.
Did you see on Wham Bam Tesla Cam? You know how they're famous for having the Honda bump. Well, a Tesla was actually being summoned, and it basically just sideswiped this Honda. It just turned too soon.
Oh, really?
It binned itself. It just had a huge score line down the front and back. Well, for us it'd be the driver's side door, but for them it's the other side, passenger doors. And scraped along the bumper bar of the Honda. So
the question is, was the scrape silky smooth? Because then it's still correct.
If there was a bit of cutting compound, perhaps it might have been, but it was super embarrassing, because they even said in the Wham Bam Tesla Cam video, the insurance company asked the driver who was driving the car, and the driver went, "Well, I wasn't in the car at the time." But they still.
He was driving it through his phone by having his finger down.
That's right. So they still had responsibility, of course, but it was an interesting question to answer, because it sort of depends what you call driving. But yes, it's not quite silky smooth.
No, I was thinking, with the suggestions, maybe they should have a suggestion button in our app or something like that. So then it's actually just owners that are actually giving the suggestions, and not the worldwide sort of stuff. So
maybe Paul, that would flood the server.
Yeah, or something.
They used to have. Used to be able to press down on the right scroll button, and hold that down and say, oh God, what was the word now?
Bug
Or
report.
report, something about
Bug report.
that was bug reports. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was just thinking things like, just to actually have it for owners to actually give the, suggestions, because it's stuff that we want, not
There is an
worldwide.
email. There is an email. I don't think it's checked much anymore though.
No.
But,
It goes to
feedback-
the round filing cabinet, mate.
Yeah. Feedback@tesla.com. So,
Yeah, no, I know, but
Yeah, that probably
Yeah,
gets
it's called
forwarded.
the
That probably
Bitbucket
just
tool.
it probably just has a email forward to feedback@tesla.com, which then forwards to feedback@tesla.com.
Yep.
The other suggestion you had, Pete, was this one.
that's actually quite funny, Harold.
I know, I'm a funny guy. So this one, Pete.
What about it?
Well, can you speak to it?
when a phone runs out of charge.
So I've eliminated my wallet, and all I have is my phone and everything in there. And I don't necessarily want to be carrying the key card separately. I saw James's. I tried about 3 of the third-party rings and never had much luck. But yeah, James is showing.
Let me just zoom in. Let's just spotlight James.
We're going to zoom in on James's ring, are we? Okay.
Yes, we are.
It's
a very attractive
after
ring
9
there,
o'clock.
James.
Oh no.
Oh, that's George Costanza. Eat your heart out with those modelling hands. But yeah, I was really impressed by James's ring because it's not like the ceramic one that I've never had much luck with that broke apart. But yeah, I just thought it'd be great for Tesla to have their own genuine ring, which could be as a backup in case your phone goes dead, so you can still get into the car rather than having to carry the key card around.
Well, and since Elon Musk is getting into Twitter payment systems and all that sort of stuff, it'd be nice if it had a tap and go function as well, dual function.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And so, James, I know you with your ring, you use it on the train. You've loaded up quite a few RFID cards on it. Just looking for the mute button. There we go.
Yeah, sorry, we got about 14 windows open. I'm trying to do some work. Not the train, mate. I don't go to Tesla. I don't go to the train. Settle down.
It's an EV.
Yeah. Whoa, slow down.
It is an EV. You're right.
No, I haven't actually tried that one, but it is a there's the 2 types of RFID. The one where the Tesla is the slightly higher rated ones, and so it works with some doors, photocopier. I've tried it with the EV charge card. So wherever I can, I just see what it does work with.
Yeah, excellent.
So, James, is it a MyFair emulator, basically?
It's, from what I understand, I think they dissolve actual real Tesla cards in acetane and then embed that into a resin ring.
Yeah, right.
Oh, gotcha. Right. Yes. So I think it's MyFair, if I recall correctly. But you can't actually load other cards onto it. It's only is a Tesla card, basically.
Yeah. But it's whatever else the other systems can load on your, like the photocopier tap, it says, hey, who are you? And you put in your things. Doors the same. You have to take the RFID register and put it into the actual Salto system, and then it knows who you are. So you kind of need back end access to a lot of the systems.
Yep.
By the way, Sandra, just let me know. So first thing she said, except Broome, nothing's ever been really 100% confirmed as yet.
Yep.
But on the Horizon Powers network, she thinks Carnarvon, Esperance, and Karratha may be next. So that's really good to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, Esperance is a great place to go to, and it's a great example where charging at the moment is difficult because you've only got AC charging. So yes, you can get to Esperance, and if you only stayed there, say overnight, well, you might be full when you wake up in the morning, but if you go for a drive around Pink Lake, which isn't pink, and you go around a drive on the other lake, which is pink, you're then going to be a little bit short to get back to Ravensthorpe. So you really do want a fast DC charger at the places that you're having holidays at. So Esperance would be really good.
So just another shout out to Sandra, the legend she is, for doing work at 20 to 9 in the evening. So, Harold, there was a question in chat. Shane and Wendy wanted to ask a question. This might be one for you, Harold, about their first trip.
Yes.
Hi guys.
Go. Hi, Shane and Wendy, or perhaps it's Wendy and Shane from the way we're looking.
Wendy.
Yeah, it is. I changed it around because it's alphabetically correct.
Very good.
Yeah, so we've had the Y, the rear-wheel drive for 2 months. Absolutely love it. We want to take it on our first trip. We're just going to Dunsborough. We're going on the long weekend, so it's going to be busy. 2 things. Do you recommend that we stop at the Eaton charger or just go straight to a B&B at Dunsborough? Because obviously it's going to be busy and whatever. Just want to ask if anyone's done the same thing prior. And the second
okay,
thing
we'll take it in segments. We'll take it in segments. So the answer is definitely yes, because after 150 Ks, your bladder might feel like a break, and you might also feel like getting a coffee or a Coke or something or whatever. So you might as well charge opportunistically, because you want to break after an hour and a half or nearly 2 hours. So you might as well just, if you haven't used it before, go and use it, suss it out. One thing I've noticed is that if you look on the map on the car, and it's a bit frustrating, it's done this for a little while now, what you see on the car's map is not accurate. What you see on your phone is. So for example, Paul, you're in the car, so let's do this experiment right now. What does your car say about Eaton?
How many? There's 2.
There's 2.
Only 2, which is bullshit.
So mine says 6. So the app says 6, and the app is correct.
Yeah.
Now, what I did find was I was the only car at Eaton a couple of weeks ago, and I think it said 2 available or none available or something. And I was a bit concerned. I thought I'm going to have a look anyway. And then it seemed that when I was plugged in, it didn't really change. But then someone else plugged in, and then it became correct. Like it somehow reset. But yeah, so that's good to know. So at the moment, Paul, you look in your car and you go, well, there's nothing available. And it's like, well, that's just not true.
Yeah,
so,
2. 2.
Or 2.
I mean, for a while it said 5, you know, and you just know that it's fine.
This is your Tesla app. So this is your Tesla. So if you just go to location, so if you go generally to location and you zoom out, if you zoom out hard enough, it'll actually show all of the locations, the 4 superchargers. 1, 2, 3, 4 superchargers that we have.
Right.
And it'll give you a live.
Use the other ones on the other side?
But you know, with the superchargers.
Sorry, say again, Shane. Sorry, say that again.
Are we also able to use the non-Tesla app on the other chargers on the other side? And then on the shopping centre there?
You mean Trendale?
Trendale, sorry, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
You can, but it's showing. Is it still showing on ChargeFox as out of order?
Yeah, it's still broken.
Yeah. So Shane and Wendy, basically, highly recommend you stop past Eaton. Look, even if it's just for 10 minutes, because you'll be quite surprised. In 10 minutes, it'll jam so much juice in your car. You know, I mean, you could go to Dunsborough just driving straight to Dunsborough. In fact, you can drive straight to Margaret River. Provided that you're full. Yeah. You've got a standard range Y, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can do that easily. I've done it myself, went straight to Margaret River, and no problem. But just top up at Eaton. You might as well, it's there. And
Yeah,
then
that's
don't forget
So,
that you've also, yes,
Harold,
Pete.
before you go to the next one, just while you're still on Eaton, just a couple of things. So that's is it the Gen 1? It's a Gen 2. Okay. So that's been there for about 7 years. All the other 3 superchargers in WA are less than a couple of years old. So they're the Gen 3 superchargers. So they charge at 250 kilowatts. Eaton's only 120 kilowatts. But each stall...
I think 40.
Sorry?
140.
That's it. That's it.
140. I thought it was 120.
No, it's 140.
Nah,
Yeah,
140.
Okay. Sorry.
yeah, go, Pete.
Yeah, so go, Pete. Go.
140.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 2 stalls will share the one connection. So if someone see how that Model X is parked at that last bay there, so
And the
if you
microphone.
rocked up and saw that,
That's right.
you don't want to park right next to them, because then if he was charging at, let's say, 140, then you're down to, I don't know, 70 or 60 each or something like that. Or whereas if you park in any of the other bays, then you'll get the full benefit of the whole 140. Also, the connection, the mobile network there is pretty good, so you should get a message once you're fully charged. But if 3 or more of those chargers are occupied, even though you might have your rear-wheel drive set to 100%, it will automatically knock it down to 80%. So you might finish charging a bit earlier. The first 5 minutes you'll get as grace, but if you get there, let's say after 6 minutes, you'll be charged $6 in idle fees. If you get there an hour later, you'll be charged $60, so $1 a minute. But if you get there within the first 5 minutes, you won't get charged anything extra. So, but if you do need you shouldn't need to, but if for whatever reason you need to charge to 100%, you just wait till the car starts to charge. And once it starts charging, then you can override the slider.
Right. Awesome.
The other
Thanks,
thing to
Pete.
note too is there are 2 connectors, and this is only the case at Eaton. So just pick the bigger one. Both will fit in your car, but one won't work. Only the big one. So I think it's the top one. That's the CCS connector. Look, it won't damage your car if you pick the other one. It's just that nothing will happen. In which case, just pick the big one. And what you do is you hold it. It's a little bit like a petrol bowser. You sort of hold it down here at the base, and you sort of lift it this direction, like at right angles. Lift it up to relieve the stress on this little bit of a catch, and then you just pull it out. It's right. You'll understand if you went and just pulled it straight out, tried to pull it along the line of the cable, nothing will happen because that's where it's engaged. Just lift it and separate it. Just bring it out.
Cool, thank you. Just the last part of that same trip is, anyone that's done the trip, what are your thoughts on possibly, because we're financial members of Tokwa, is getting a spare tyre? We've got the turbines, those ones. Is it possible to, do you recommend it? I mean, we've got, obviously the car's 2 years old. 2 years old. 2 months old. We're with RAC. Spare tyre issues, what do you recommend? We're going to be there for what, 4 days down the Mug River?
You can borrow a spare, but if you're going down to something like Dunsborough, look, the most likely thing you'd ever get is a tech screw, and you get a slow leak. And the chances of getting a catastrophic flat, whereby you literally can't do anything with the tyre and you've got to change it, is quite low. And then you've got the inconvenience of putting a spare in your car and whatever, or collecting it, returning it. If it's me personally, if it's down south, I wouldn't bother. If you're going up north, I would bother. And if you're going, I don't know, maybe, east, far east, I'd bother. But you can just go to a place like Repco or Super Cheap Auto and get one of those tyre repair sort of kits where they have an unvulcanized rubber slug that you sort of like poke in with like a crochet, like a hook sort of thing. And if you've got a compressor, I'd obviously highly recommend you get a compressor. You can buy Tesla's one. I'm not sure if if it's back in stock. they have a 12-volt compressor that just gets power off your DC power outlet of the car. Let me just check if it's in stock.
Yeah, I'm just looking.
It's on the road, isn't? No, wheels and tires. Oh, it doesn't really matter which one you pick. Oh no, it's out of stock. But you can get something like that at super cheap as well. I mean, I've personally got a like a Ryobi cordless one, but the risk there is that if you don't maintain your battery, it'll go flat or whatever. So, but you're more than welcome to borrow the spare. If there it is. Yeah, sorry, who was that? Is that you, Pete?
That's me, Harold. Yeah.
Yeah, I just did that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
I've done the trip a couple of times. I'm doing it again in 2 weeks' time. Don't take a spare with me. RAC member like you are, and there's a Bustleton RAC outlet, so it wouldn't take long for an RAC van to come to with you. You really couldn't do it yourself.
Oh, you
And
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
yeah, no worries. And look, the main thing is just go and enjoy your car. Don't suffer from range anxiety. The best way to overcome that is put Dunsborough as your destination when you leave home, and it'll just do the plot where it just plots which way how it's predicting you're going to go. Like I said, charge opportunistically. So when you get to Eton, just top up because you can. And obviously at Dunsborough, you can top up there. And if you're going to go driving around a little bit, there's quite a few wineries that are around that actually interestingly have.
I'll track them down.
Yeah, well, there's a whole sequence of them. So in PlugShare, if we just apply the filters for what you can use without any cables, so it's Tesla Fast, CCS, and Tesla, then these are all locations near Dunsborough. So you've got the Artisan Chalets, Will's Domain. I think that's a winery.
That's a winery.
Stormflower Vineyard, another one, and Woodlands Wines. And most of these have, I think they are, that's a Tesla destination. Oh, actually, and in fact, if you do this, just for the Southwest, just in this region, if you turn Type 2 on, you'll see there's actually more locations. And for example, House of Cards Wine, I know that's a Tesla, it's a Porsche. No, that's the exception. Sorry, forget I said that. There's another one. Where was it? Caves Hotel. I think it's Caves Hotel. Has a Porsche destination charger.
It swings and roundabouts does.
And swings and roundabouts.
Yeah.
That's got a low score. So it's always good to look at the scores just to see what's going on. And it sounds like something's going on. Right, it's out of order. So that's a good thing. Pro tip is just to suss out, always look at the comments or look at the score. So House of Cards Wine, they're good because it's got a score of 10.
Where's the score, Harold?
So say again. Oh, the score is on the actual, when you, see how you got 10? So just.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a 10.
Yep.
So then, for instance, swings and roundabouts 1.7. That's danger.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind, and then this is Artisan Chalets. That's unrated. There hasn't got a score because there probably haven't been enough people checking in. In fact, only one. So, and that was a while ago. So, for example, when Pete mentioned that he went to Cervantes, and this one has a score of 3.1. So it's always useful to look anyway, because there's been quite a few negative check-ins, which lowers the score. But Pete actually checked in, and that was a positive outcome. Even though the score's only 3.1, it was probably 2 point something or 1 point something before Pete checked in. But it will slowly inch back up as people report it working. So not only should you look at the score, but also just look at the last interaction to see if it was positive. So, yeah, Bunker Bay Resort. Oh, this is a Porsche destination charger. So you can. It's a Type 2, so it comes with its own cable, and it's. With
the Porsche ones, do you need anything? Like
No, it's
a
it's
card or
tethered.
anything?
It's
Just plug in.
plug it straight in. It's just a destination charger.
Okay.
It's useful to look at the comments too to see what the power level is, because some of these, oh, this is 12 kilowatts. Okay, so it's basically 11. So that's full power, and that's just around the corner at Bunker Bay.
Oh, Bunker Bay. Okay. Cool.
And you've got Caves Hotel, which
Yeah, just watch Bunker Bay. They're generally guests only, but if you sweet talk them and buy something at the bar, they'll let you charge there.
We had our honeymoon there. That should be enough.
It should be, yeah, absolutely.
It was 300 years ago, but surely they remember us.
Now with our Model Y, with the Tesla, obviously we can use any of the charging stations. Like we don't have to get an adapter or anything. Is that
The
right?
only
not
one
for
you
the
won't be
DC.
able to use is the Chetamo charger. So
Right. Yeah.
yep, and the J172, which is not really,
Yeah.
it's a very old standard for very slow plug-in hybrid. Yeah.
There's only about 5 of them left in Western Australia, so you'll never see one.
Cool. No, that's awesome.
And in Dunsborough, you've got the shopping centre, so right in town, and that's a fast DC charger. So you need nothing for.
Yeah.
Why does it
Oh,
say
the
7 kilowatts?
more than that.
Oh, because
Going on?
there's an AC there as well.
Oh, there is too. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
true.
someone's chosen to charge at the AC.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can use those.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
look, and even if that wasn't working, you can just jet straight across to Bustleton Jetty car park, and again, there's a unit there as well.
Yeah.
The Bustleton Jetty one is a lot more reliable and much easier to use than the Dunsborough one. So if you have a choice between the two, and it's less busy too, from my experience anyway, the Bustleton one. But
Even since they swapped Dunsborough for an RTM.
I haven't been there since.
Yeah. So
So
It was out of order the other day, but
excellent.
yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But just look at the comments. So, for instance, someone says 11 kilowatts. You can sort of surmise that these ones probably weren't using the 7. Well, look, Lee on the 29th reported 50 kilowatts.
50, yeah.
So that's definitely the DC.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. No, that's
Thank you.
awesome.
And guys, one more tip: when you go and charge at the Airbnb, obviously you can take a good thick heavy duty board with you, and you can plug that in. But in case the Airbnb owner or someone freaks out because they think that you're putting in $200 worth of petrol equivalent into your Model Y, just explain to them that the most you'll probably pull is about 75 cents an hour. So it's not going to, if you were, if they had a large 3-phase air conditioner, you could be using $4 or $5 an hour. So it's
Harold, if I could just interject here,
Nigel.
ChargeFox. If you look on ChargeFox, a lot of these RAC chargers that are around the place, Dunsborough and so on, ChargeFox run, and the ChargeFox app will actually tell you if it's in use, broken, or available. So that's a useful one to check on, as well as PlugShare. And also, Harold, Paolo's had his hand up for quite a while.
Oh, apologies, Paolo.
Just before we get to Paolo, just one last comment. So Nigel's just reminded me of that. So if you haven't done so already, obviously download the ChargeFox app, set up your account, and set up your credit card as well, so that you're not fumbling there around struggling with the connection when you could be charging. But off to Paolo now.
Well, and add in your RAC membership number, because at some of them you get a 20% discount.
Yeah, good point.
Right. Thanks, guys. My question is more curiosity. In terms of when you're charging it full, what's the decorum? In terms of, I mean, those that are like Eaton, I've charged there once, obviously being penalized. That's the penalty rather than incentive. But where there's like one or two, and there's like one charging and one there, what's the decorum really generally?
Well, as long as you're actively charging.
Do unto others as you would have others do unto you.
Well, yeah, and also the proper etiquette is if you're charging, sorry, as soon as you've stopped actively charging, you should unplug and leave, or at least vacate that parking bay so someone else can take your place. I guess then it comes down to, look, if you're paying for a charge, you are entitled to charge your car up fully if that's what you want to do. But if you don't necessarily need to do that to get to your next place, and there is someone else waiting, well, it's polite to, charge enough to make you comfortable to get to where you want to go and then move on. Unless they've said, oh, look, no worries, we're here, we'll go to the shops or something. But that's the big no-no is do not plug in and park your car at a EV charging station and not be charging.
Because it's an EV charging station, it's not an EV parking station.
But what if it's fully charged and instead of just hanging out for an hour, somebody's just left for 2-3 hours? You wouldn't know if it's charging, would you?
Yes, you do, because your app will tell you. So in fact, your app, you'll get a notification on your Tesla app that your car has completed charging. Although I think you have to make sure that switch is on. So if you look on your Tesla app, there is, it was under settings, I think it is, under your profile and settings, notifications. Okay, so let me just spotlight temporarily. You can actually see, you can have charging started, charging interrupted, charging complete. So you can put those on and get notification for each car that you have or whatever, so that you'll know, the car will tell you when charging has completed, for example. I just have it on charging interrupted because that's when you do want to know, because it means there was an error or someone's unplugged you.
Paolo, one place where that will fail you is Karrinyup, because the mobile reception there is pretty much next to non-existent or very poor. So good tip at Karrinyup is as soon as you start charging and then you close your door, for quite some time, actually before the car locks itself, on the screen, it will tell you how long before your charge will be finished. So just put in, set a timer on your smartphone and set it for 5 or 10 minutes less than whatever the time is. And that way you'll know that, when you need to start coming back to the car to come back.
Right.
And something else I just thought of with ChargeFox is do be aware. So if we just spotlight temporarily again, just be aware when you see the icons look like it's active, there can be cases, just trying to find one. Oh yes, so for example, I mean this is using the type 1 as an example, but just because you've got a green, an orange icon doesn't mean that all parts of the station are actually available. So in this case, it was an orange icon, but the type 1 is out of order. So what it'll do is, say if the DC charger is out of order, but the AC is still working, which is not really what you want to use, it'll still show up as an orange pin. So it is useful just to click into the pin and just to see what's available. So if we look at Dunsborough right now, Dunsborough is showing as CHAdeMO is available, CCS is available, and Type 2 is available. So it's just good to drill into the pin on ChargeFox just to make sure you know what's running.
And just another point in regards to etiquette, since you asked the question. So a lot of the chargers, like the ones that Harold was showing before, the wineries, etc., they're not really making money out of the charger. And if they are, they might have a 30 or a 40-year payback period or something. So really the way they make their money back is by you coming and actually spending some of your money with them. So, when Harold and I went around Australia, and tell me, Harold, if you agree or don't agree with me, but I reckon the biggest tool in our toolbox was attitude. So if you've got the right attitude, and if you're, if you understand that, it's not your right to charge anywhere and everywhere, it's really a privilege, and it's really the owner of the charger that's doing you a favor, not the other way around. Just because you bought an EV and you're reducing the world's emissions doesn't mean the world owes you anything. So, if you have that sort of attitude, then, that will get you a lot further. So, and because I knew that Harold was coming in after me and a lot of other people were going to be coming after me, and I was coming out of behind a lot of other people and vice versa, you want to pay it forward so that whoever uses that charger after you has a positive experience, because the proprietor had a positive experience with you beforehand. And if all of us do it, all of us will have a great outcome. But unfortunately, there's sites now that are either refusing to allow people to charge there, or Jurien Bay had to make a $50 flag fall, so because people were charging there for 5 minutes and not buying anything in the store. So the few can ruin it for everyone else. So that's my 2 cents worth as far as etiquette's concerned.
I think the two-letter phrase for that is be humble. If you just be humble, then you'll do well.
And grace and grateful, and it's part of the ABCs. Always be charging, always be courteous, always browse comments, etc. But always be courteous is a pretty good one.
Absolutely. Alrighty. Paulo, got any other questions, or maybe Wendy and Shane?
Just made a fairly salacious comment in the chat.
Oh. Oh, wowzers. Yes, gotcha. Right, yep.
I thought it was merchant bankers.
Actually, it's funny. Look, there definitely are some of those kind of owners. I've met a few. And some people do think they are, but look, most people are just lovely. And especially these days, because you're getting the whole spectrum. Dare I say, ordinary people are buying Teslas because even though they are expensive to start with, their total cost of ownership is cheaper than a Camry, and normal. The whole spectrum of society is buying Teslas these days. So but yeah, I do. Go, Pete.
A good comment that our chairman, Rob Dean, has said, which is a great quote, which I'm not going to do it justice, but he said something along the lines of, it always amazes me how many people told me years and years ago that there's no way they would ever buy a Tesla, either because they'll never be able to afford one, or they just think they're ugly or not good looking. And it's amazing how many of those people now have two. So, if you get that attitude, just remind them of that quote and just say, look, never say never, because you could surprise yourself.
Yeah. Case in point is, the lady at work that's she's waiting on a plug-in hybrid, and I've converted her to a Model Y, and she was giving me so much stick when I first started. 5 months later, bang, she's already said the husband thinks he's got a decision about this, but we're getting a Model Y, blue, standard range. I'll let him know tonight. And I went, okay.
And,
that's after just one little drive.
and Paul, she doesn't know it yet, but you've just done her a massive favour.
Oh yeah. Well, the plug-in hybrid was only $600 cheaper than the Y.
Yeah.
I'm
God.
just going, yeah.
What a no-brainer.
No contest now.
Yeah, what a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question too?
Yeah, go.
Yes, David.
When I walk up to my car and go to open the door, it says, you know, who are you? And it's not just sometimes, it's very often. And I have to open the Tesla app and press any sort of button and it says, oh, that's who you are. I've had the car for 2 years. You'd think it would know who I am by now. What are the steps we need to do to make sure the car communicates with us when we walk up and touch?
Well, there's a couple of things that are going on there. Your phone is contacting the car to say, here I am, you can unlock via Bluetooth. So I've had this happen to me quite a few times, and a couple of times the app has actually been closed down on the phone. So there's no app running to say to the Bluetooth and the Tesla, hello, here I am. So you need to actually get the app open.
Now, which app are we talking about now?
The Tesla app on the phone.
Yeah.
It actually has to be running. All right. And then sometimes if you run up to the car too quickly, the Bluetooth hasn't got time to do its little handshake.
But if you flick the Tesla off, you know, you've been on Tesla and then you swipe it up from the bottom and it sort of goes back to just sitting there. Is it turned off or is it still?
It's turned off. Don't swipe it up. The app doesn't like it when you do that. And you're basically quitting the app. So you always want to have that. The Tesla app is one of the few apps that you always want to have running in the background.
That's not actually true, Peter. Certainly on Android, it runs as a service. You've got to start it with the phone when you first start up the phone to kick it off, but you can swipe it away and it'll be fine. The two main reasons people have problems is the app goes to sleep because of the advanced power management. With an Apple phone, to stop that happening, you need to give it permission to always access location. That's Apple's way. Android's way is you bypass power optimization. It has a specific thing for that. If you do that, it'll never fail you.
Another way to do it is if you fail to do that and you have a look at your phone and the screen is black, you just tap the screen. That's all you need to do to wake up the Bluetooth, and you'll be able to open the car.
But if you do those optimizations with the Apple or with the location, you'll never have to do that because it stays awake in the background.
Yeah, it just chews a bit more of your battery, but you know.
Well, I reckon it would take. It's one of the best apps for that. They've tuned it so that it doesn't. So you're very, very like you probably lose 2 or 3% in a whole day from that app.
Yeah. If that, yeah.
The second question which I got today from my accountant is there any way the Tesla bigwigs who design all these things can get us to click a button when we go on a journey to say that's private, and click a button when we go on the journey to say that's our business?
Like a logbook, so for logbook purposes, so you could basically on the screen just say this is a business trip or this is a private trip.
Not with Tesla, but there are third-party apps that will do that for you. So there's one called Tesla Scope, which will do it. There's another one called sorry, I can't think now. I think I've got it on my phone still. I'll have a look and I'll let you know if I remember.
Anyway, the main question is about the Tesla app, and it doesn't do it. So that's okay. I can tell it tomorrow. Cool.
TesLab, sorry. TEZLAB, TesLab.
Okay, thank you.
App that does that for you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've just got a quick question from Ake about how often do we pump up our tyres, and theirs drops 2 psi per week. I just wonder, that might just be a temporary change in temperature because temperatures have gone down, minimum temperatures have gone down over the last few weeks. And of course, it's just the P1 V1 on T1 physics equation. So that is quite normal. But in time, the tyres don't really go down a lot. But this is probably just to do with temperature change more than anything else. So just top them up if you want. Well, to the 42, I think it is cold inflate. That is Tesla's recommendation. On the inside of your driver's door, there's a sticker there that tells you the pressures. And I think at the moment, for all the cars we have, it's basically 42 psi, cold. But of course, cold in summer is different temperature to cold in winter. So hence the difference in pressure. That's ignoring any natural seepage.
Yep.
Now, David, when you said the car was asking you who you are, did you mean also that your phone would unlock the car, but it wouldn't show up you as the profile, or was it just?
His app was shut.
No, I just have
Okay,
to
that's
open.
cool.
I have to open the app. I tap
That's cool. I was just going to say, because you can actually, in the lock section, you can actually assign a phone and make sure it's to the correct profile.
Yeah.
And the same with keys or fobs or a key card. You can tell it which profile to associate itself with, so that when you tap it or use it, whatever it is, it goes to the correct profile.
Yeah, I think that location thing's probably going to be very helpful. Yep.
Can I just make a comment on that too, Harold?
Yes, Mark. Yes.
With there's a setting when you start your Bluetooth for your priority profile. A lot of people think that actually means if two people walk up to the car with phones at the same time, the priority profile will unlock it. That's not the case. It's just random, whichever one it sees first. That's purely for the Bluetooth feature.
Well, yes, for
like
phones.
Media streaming and for your media side of your phone. Which phone actually ends up being the phone the car uses for calls.
Dead right. Yep.
And a lot of people
thanks,
think
Mark.
it's for their car and they get upset because it's not working, but it's just doesn't do that.
And the problem is, one day, yeah. I mean, actually, that's a patent that Tesla has applied for and gotten, which is it uses the camera, the internal camera, to observe the occupants and observe who's driving and who's a passenger, and to try and identify who those people are and link it to profiles. I dare say
is that actually operational yet, or is it just a patent?
No, it's a patent, just a patent.
Yeah.
And of course, it's got classic patent speak, which is just almost like a circular language I even forget the terminology. It's embodiments and all this stuff. But basically, what they're implying is not only will they be able to identify the driver and have that profile, but if they can identify different passengers, it means that a passenger could have their own profile, so that their seat could move independent of the driver, and have things like aircon settings and things like that set for them as well, which is pretty cool. But coming soon, inverted commas.
Can you turn off seats when I'm talking to my grandson who's occupying one of the back seats with me, and I lean in the middle of the vehicle? It says that there's no seat belt attached. I suppose I could just
put the seat belt in.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I do, because I've got the dog in the back, so should set them all off. So I've just plugged them all in. So
the same applies if you've got a passenger in the left or right hand side of the rear seat, and they put their hand down as like a bit of a just to rest their weight or whatever. They'll often set off the seatbelt warning sign. So just shove the seatbelt in it, and it keeps it quiet. Keeps it happy.
And groceries on the front seat too.
Yep,
precisely. Yes.
Yep. Doesn't take long for you to go, stuff it, click.
Yeah.
That noise is so annoying very quickly.
It does stop, but the problem with shopping is if it's on the precipice, because the sound doesn't go forever. It times out after 20 seconds or 15 seconds or something like that if you stay seated in it. But if shopping sort of flops around, it'll trigger it, untrigger it, re-trigger it, and you get another 15 seconds of beeping.
Simpler to plug it in. Yep.
Exactly. Now, something that is coming soon, but not soon enough, is one of these.
Oh, good. I was going to ask about this.
And it's pretty cool. This, frustratingly, there was, I don't want to criticize the people that went there, but no one really took great photos. Unfortunately, Robbie Maurer wasn't there with his videographer. But this was done by Ellie in Space, and this is the best profile shot I've seen. And this was basically, Drew Baglino described it as a custom roof rack. So it's dubious as to whether that will be supplied in general, but you can actually see that, I can't actually make it bigger, that it actually, the roof line stops there, but the roof rack goes up to here and then goes across. And it's actually got 3 fixings. There's a fixing here, there's a slot, one here, and one about there. And she unfortunately doesn't do a oh, that's your fingerprint reader. There's a little fingerprint reader to open the front door, and there's another equal one at the back, and that was the side camera, and there's another one there, and that's your other fingerprint reader for the other door. And I'll try and skip it ahead to some good bits, but unfortunately a lot of it is Ellie doing various commentary items.
What tradie is going to have a fingerprint that's going to be readable, though?
Yeah, I don't know. It might end up being more like a sensor, rather than actually fingerprint per se. It might be relying on others like Bluetooth to unlock the car, and then that sensor, rather than fingerprint, is just to sense a finger or you know.
No, it's got a little needle prick that comes out and it does a DNA sample on
you. I like that one.
Gives you a hot shot of insulin if you're the wrong person.
It could be a camera, and you could try and look for your face and do facial recognition, but it would have to be pretty quick.
It would. I'm just trying to get. Oh, there's another side shot. So the whole intention of this Cybertruck, the reason why they did this was so they could put these cyber shovels on it, and Elon could do the ceremonial removal of the cyber shovel. But yeah, you can see the fixing. There's one there. Well, there's one there and one just here. And just this is just covering the controls for the actual tailgate. And also the vault, which is the louvered. We'll see if there we go. Like, unfortunately, I got this flag flapping around and getting in the way. But you can see this is where the vault comes up. So it's like a roller shutter, really, upside down roller shutter, and it comes. This is all a closed-in panel, and that's your rear window, and it comes up on sliders and bends around and then comes around that way. But like I said, unfortunately, Ellie's camera work is not great. And presumably that's some sort of racking system for other mounting items and stuff that I think is fairly common in utes.
Yep.
But frustratingly, this is the most recent Cybertruck. I think the thing that's different now is this used to be stainless steel on the original one, and now that seems to be sort of plastic or something. And I think the controls are just there, and you can see the mounting point just there. And that's your rear view. It's really just a bit of a slot, bit like the Model Y. Oh, and that's your rear camera with a little hood.
Oh, cool.
Looks nice and solid though, doesn't it, that roof rack?
Yeah, it's a bit of not checker plate, but those perforations are probably a little bit turbulent and not that efficient, but it's a very substantial sort of thing. But the good thing is that clearly that means that these mounting points are intentional. So that's what it's going to have. I don't know how that works, to be honest. But look, no doubt, even as we speak now, there'll be people making clones of these already.
Yeah.
So hurry up, Tesla.
Oh man, I can't wait.
So then,
Oh,
you know, the
awesome.
executive, the Australian executive of Toyota won't be able to say, well, there's nothing that can tow, you know, 3.5 tons,
Oh,
because a Cybertruck will, and then some.
oh, and then some. Drag
Six-
the Toyota, dragging the 3.5 ton.
Yeah, absolutely. Alrighty. Has anyone else got any other questions or comments? We do have the annual shareholders meeting next
week.
I want to
19th.
say Wednesday. It's
30th.
actually, it is. It's Wednesday morning our time.
Is it?
Oh, which by the way, there won't be an Ask Us Anything next week. Because I'm busy. Or actually not just because I'm busy, but we were actually due to have a casual. That's right. I just can't be bothered. No, actually,
Sorry,
I am
what?
going to
Yeah,
be.
go.
I am going to be busy, but
Is 140 all you had in you, Harold?
that's right. That's right. No, we were going to have a casual meetup. We were due for one last Wednesday, but I just pushed it back 2 weeks to next Wednesday. So it'll be a casual meetup. And I should have done this earlier in the program because I don't know how many people are going to be still listening. Actually, I do know it's about 300. Last 2 months ago, we had a casual meetup in East Vic Park or Victoria Park. The nighttime, all the Wednesday meetups are at 6:30. So they're evening ones. The one we had before was the Belmont Hotel. So let's say we've gone Eastern Perth, South-ish Perth. So perhaps we're looking for somewhere to the west side of Perth. So we might try this as an experiment. If in the next 24 hours, if anyone has a suggestion of where we should go for our casual meetup next Wednesday evening, please put a comment.
That's west.
Yep, sure.
You
Yep.
need a Cybertruck to get there, Nigel.
Well, please vote for where you want the casual meetup to be in the comments, and we'll try that as an experiment and see what the suggestions are. But please suggest ones in the western suburbs of Perth or central. Let's call it Central West, so that's easier for everyone to get to.
Or Central West. Cream, just around the corner from me.
I'd call that north there,
No,
Paul.
it's Central. It's Central.
Baldivis, Rockingham, come on
No,
down.
God, no.
So please discuss in the comments below, and by the end of tomorrow or probably Friday at the latest, actually it will be Friday, I'll send an email out and put it out on the socials where we're going to go on Wednesday for a casual meetup.
City Beach. That's pretty good.
But a pro tip for anyone: do keep an eye on our socials next week for any news.
Sounds cool.
There you go. Alrighty. On that note, so yeah, go Paul.
I was just going, with the lithium refining facility, and I was so excited, and then the share price freaking tanked after that. So it's just going, you just can't pick it, can you? You just go, they go an extra 1 million cars from this facility, and then they just, in terms of the product,
Well, that's a great time to put. Hang on 2 seconds, Nigel. That's a great time to play this.
The following segment is general in nature and shouldn't be taken as personal professional advice. Listeners should seek their own independent assessment from a qualified advisor and not rely on the general nature of information in this program.
So following that, I would say, Paul, it didn't tank. It was on sale.
Oh, yes, on sale. I was going to say I've sort of bought enough of it. Now I'm saving up for Starlink for their IPOs.
Look, Starlink's subscriber numbers are going to the moon.
Yes, literally.
Well, that's not good enough. They need to go to Mars.
Now, so excuse me if I just press this button again. I just want to check. No, it didn't work.
And there was silence.
Bullshit. Oh, that only worked once. Okay. All right, no worries. Sorry about that. We'll carry on. So I can only play that disclaimer once tonight. That's okay.
Don't take your financial advice from YouTubers, you fools.
A big shout out to crowdsourced software developers. I just love it when you bring out a new version of something and you end up breaking everything else. It's just awesome. I love it. I love it. So shout out to OBS and Elgato, Streamlabs, Stream Deck, because every time you guys bring out a new version, something breaks, and it's just a bit sad. Tesla shares.
Yes.
So Paul, they did exactly what they always do. Whenever there's great news, they tank because you buy on the rumor and you sell on the fact, and there'll be naysayers that go, look, Tesla are so desperate. They're building their own lithium plant, and
I know.
But
yeah, Tesla's held at a higher standard than their competitors and stuff. You look at Lucid and Rivian and Ford and GM and all those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And look, the great thing is that single plant will be able to process enough lithium hydroxide or create enough lithium hydroxide for 1 million EVs.
More than all the current capacity of the whole of North America combined.
Yep. It's like the Nevada Gigafactory all over again. They had the foresight for it, and they said, this is, and everyone went, nah, it's impossible, and now look at them all.
Well, back in 2011 or 12, when that was conceived, the stated goal of the Gigafactory was to produce as many batteries in that one facility as the entire world's production to date. And you've got to be ambitious when you want to do ambitious things.
Mm.
But then as Elon Musk, and I think it was Drew Baglino did say, this is in addition to all the other lithium we're buying, and every battery plant they build is in addition to all the others. The Model S and X still has 18650 batteries from Panasonic because Tesla does not want Panasonic to dismantle that factory and have those cells not being made for a period of time for some other variant. They just want as many batteries as the world can make.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still frustrating. But it was great to see the Cybertruck make an appearance. And it'll be great at the shareholders meeting. Perhaps we'll get some more details of Cybertruck and other projects. We've got the inductive charger that they haven't shown us yet. Well, they've shown us a photo of it, but they haven't explained it yet. And there's always Optimus. If you want to be optimistic.
Boom. If that takes off, then it's done.
So speaking of things taking off, the share price has opened. I don't know what it is, if it's going to work. Oh, it's down.
It's down.
Oh, it's just not. It's not even open at all. Anyway, we might have to look at it manually.
It's up
it's up. 172 and a bit.
Up 2%. There you
go. 2%. Yeah, that's good. That's just not working on your OBS. Anyway.
Hey, Harold. It's John here.
John.
How are you going?
Yeah, good. And you?
Yeah, I'm just sitting on a boat off Exmouth, coming into Exmouth at the moment. But did you see the Morgan Stanley deep dive about Tesla's bottom line from the IRA, potentially $2 billion this year and escalating? And no one wanted to know about it.
Yes, and they basically said that Tesla was in a unique position to make the most of it compared to all its competitors.
Yeah.
So it is that one funding thing that Tesla is absolutely ideally placed. And you can see they're changing the mix and where cars are going. So Canada is not subject to the IRA for cars sold there. So Tesla are actually directing Shanghai-built cars to go to feed Canada. So the American-built cars don't have to go to Canada. So they can keep them for as much domestic sales as possible to extract the most amount of value.
Yeah.
You know, it just,
and it's a couple of dollars on the share price that no one wants to talk about.
yeah. And the thing is,
On the-
all these. So go, John.
No, I'm finished. You go.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And, you know, there's other aspects, such as at Gigafactory Nevada, Tesla closed their Megapack production because they're building the Megapack XL at, I think it's
Lathrop.
Lathrop. Yes.
Yeah.
And I forget the numbers, but the profit margin on the Megapack XL is vastly better than the Megapack.
Yeah.
So there's all these incremental unleashing of value that no one in the market is really considering, or they're just discounting, or they're just not believing. You know, Tesla's assertion that with their, let's call it the Model 2, that they're going to be building in in Mexico, that their targeted cost of production is half that of a Model 3 or a Y.
Which is only about, what, 11 grand US or something like that. So
Yeah.
you know, they're going to be building the car for 6-7 grand. It's insane. 5-6 grand. Yeah.
And the thing is, it's funny. I showed a 10-year-old girl who'd actually hopped in one of my black interior Model Y. I showed her the one with the white seats, and just hopped in the driver's seat, and she was playing what's it called, beach buggy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, these things are really, they're like iPhones. They're going to turn into software delivering devices. I mean, yes, they're cars, and that's an important function, but no one has counted Tesla's App Store, which kind of doesn't exist yet. But all those on services, you know.
Yeah, the thing is, you know, the screen, just like a TV, it doesn't really lend itself to, you know, your iPhone or your smartphone type of apps, because, you know, it's just so much more convenient just to do that, you know, in your hand than to reach over and do it on the big screen. But there will be, you know, car specific apps, you know, and especially if it's a robo taxi, you can have, you know, you've got the occupant's attention because they've got nothing else to look at apart from their phone. And we all know that, you know, looking at your phone makes some people, you know, car sick. So they'll have no other option but to look at that big screen. And, you know, there's a massive billboard there, which, sorry, lights have gone out. Can you turn the lights back on, please?
Is he trying to give you a hint or something?
last beers. But yeah, I mean, not just advertising, but delivering content, because it's got a GPS, and, you know, it will know where you are, so it can do location-based, you know, type advertising. You know, what I would love to have is, I would love to have the ability to be able to customize the maps, so to be able to put in, you know, like points of interest, and maybe even notification or alerts. So, you know, let's say, you know, you're going to be driving past the shops on your way home, and you were supposed to pick up the milk. So as you're driving, you know, 5 kilometers away from the shops, it gives you a notification if you know, to pick up milk or whatever. You know, just things like that would be, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many apps that you could have. Like I said, the smartphone apps were just, well, they weren't even no one knew about them until Apple. Well, I guess you had some apps on like the Nokias, but you didn't know what you didn't want until they showed it to you, and then it was compelling. And was it what's the name? Saba.
Tony Seba.
Seba, sorry. He was basically saying in an interview in the last couple of days that, you're going to have vehicle transport as a service, so cars as a service. So, the transformation is just so profound. We're already, like I said, we're playing video games in our cars, we're watching YouTube, we're doing Zoom, Paul's not using Zoom because I guess the quality is not as great or whatever, but it's a
I've got an old
start.
car.
Oh, and you got an old, yeah, well, time to upgrade, Paul. See, there's nothing like a little bit of
I
product
already
pressure.
did. I saw it. I'm waiting for it. The Cybertruck. Once
True.
that baby gets here. Oh yeah. The fastest car on the road, that's a friggin' tank from the future. It's gonna be brilliant. Try to push me off the road. Yeah.
Yes, except your Cybertruck's going to behave very well on autopilot. It'll yield to other cars being rude.
Yeah.
Even though they don't deserve it.
It's hilarious. People were asking us today, going, how do you not have all these speeding fines? And I'm like, autopilot. That's it.
Yep. Well, the thing is, you feel relaxed.
Yep.
You're so relaxed when it's driving for you that you don't really feel like you need to speed because it's like you're being chauffeured. So you're much more relaxed.
Yeah.
See you, Nigel. Yeah, so James, so 70, that's right, a plunge in 75%. And a lot of it is longevity. I think the standard fossil fuel car's lifetime or average lifetime is about 225,000 kilometers, if I recall correctly. And of course, EVs, it's 500,000 kilometers and climbing. So that is going to be a real paradigm shift. I don't know how that's going to affect Tesla's goal to produce 20 million cars by the end of the decade. I think, well, in the figures we had today, actually, let's try and bring that up. I think car sales in 2022 had fallen from 81 million down to 79 million. I think that's correct. I'll just get the image up. Oh, yep, there we go. So, well, sorry, no, this is just the top ranking. That was the ranking. But I think it was about 79 million cars. And of course, we had Model Y at 747,000 and Model 3 at 482. But in that same report, they basically, were showing that EVs are overtaking ICE cars basically in popularity, and of course with that longevity, you're going to have longer age fleets, and that's the thing with leasing, novated leasing, all of those things have got to change and evolve for the lifetime of the car. So people will be changing EVs not because they're worn out, but because there's a shinier one that's come out. Which in ICE cars, they never really lived long enough to worry about that.
The average ICE car lasts about 17 years, about 200 to 250,000 kilometers. That's it. So,
yeah. And, we know EVs go much further than that. The one that Richard Chapman bought off me had done 220,000 Ks, and it drove exactly the same day that I last had it as the day I first got it. It really did.
And Rob Dean's Model S has done 300,000 almost. Yep. Or has he gone over the 300 yet?
I'm not sure. I would have thought we'd hear about it. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So that rings true, and that car could do another 200,000 Ks if you can be bothered driving it and not his awesome performance Model Y.
The contest.
But yeah, it's not its fault that it's going to be unloved, and there's a shiny new toy. It's all right. I won't get jealous.
Yeah.
But there's another 2 EV family.
Yep.
Yeah, I've just
And-
turned into that, Harold.
Well,
Oh,
in fact, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 7 faces. Oh, and Richard Chapman, and he's not visible, and he's another 2 EV family. So
Hang
there
on,
you go.
you need to count me twice, Harold, because I've got 4 EVs in family.
No, you're just overcapitalized there, Pete.
Some of us have got problems. But I wasn't.
And you've got two too. You got 2 as well, John.
Yep.
Oh, hang on a minute. So we've got
Who
one.
hasn't?
We've got 1, 2, 3,
Oh, who
4,
hasn't?
5, 6, 7. Seven people in this room. Wow. That are 2 EV.
I wasn't.
Harold,
meant to
I
be.
think Rob and Robin's car's up to 297 because they gave me a lift in it last night, and I think it's either 3,000 or 4,000 k's that they're off, but yeah, they're not far.
Oh, so did they drive the S up to Perth?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh wow. Why do they do that for? They're trying to get to
Trying to get the k's up
300,000.
to 300,000.
Yeah.
I just go and buy I was going to say a treadmill. Just go and buy a dyno. And
They said that they're going to keep the S for like the southwest, but then use the Y for longer trips.
Yes.
So I wasn't meant to be a 2-car household, 2 Tesla household. My wife's got a Lexus hybrid that we bought just after I bought my Model 3 Performance, and she loves it. And it's a piece of crap, but anyway, it's got no luggage space and it's slow, and anyway, but she loved it. And she's only driven the Tesla once or twice. Anyway, she said to me a few days ago, "Oh, maybe I'll drive the Tesla," because I put it on car sales and on fight, and I just didn't get any nibbles at all. Anyway, we bought the Lexus for 51, and I sold it through Autoflick, and it's nearly 3 years. I was 3 years old. I got 47 for it. So I dropped $4,000, and I would have dropped 30 or 40 on my Tesla. So no brainer.
Yeah.
So, and I've spent a heap on my Tesla, so we're keeping both. So if I'd known that, I would have got a different color. So I've got 2 blue Teslas.
It's all right.
Well, you're just true blue.
Well, yeah,
true
one
blue.
normal one and one pregnant one. So, might have another one.
Now, if that was a thing, that would be very good.
Oh, that'd be
very
brilliant.
good.
And then I'll be getting another white one.
The Model Y's been all over the garage this last few days.
Oh, you installing your door handles?
Yeah, I've finished that. Finished that today.
Yeah.
How many hours did that take?
Oh, shit, probably about 10 hours again. It's a big.
Oh,
job.
that's what you said last time. All right. So
Yeah,
you
I
haven't
thought
gone any faster.
I thought I'd be better at it, but no, it's just, oh, shit. Anyway, they're done. Oh, they really flash now because you can change the colors. So it goes rainbow, it does all sorts of beautiful things. So much flashier than my other ones in my Model 3. So anyway.
Can you trigger them while you're driving, as in the lights? Because that could be like bling bling mode.
When you put your indicators on, the handles light up. Yeah.
Oh, do they light up orange? I guess to mimic the indicator.
Yeah.
And is it just
Very
the hand on the side that you're turning the indicator on, or?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'd be confusing.
It would be very confusing. Oh yeah. So anyway, so now I've got 2 Teslas and selling the Lexus.
Well, I think Paul was kind of a semi-accidental 2 Tesla family, because I made contact with Paul just prior to the Model Y order page opening. I think it was the day before.
It's the night before.
And it was all like a bit of a joke, haha, order thing, and it kind of happened. And I think Joe and Seb as well, that in fact, it's actually the video. It's on our YouTube. So it's just go youtube.com/Tokwa, and it's called the Model Y order special, I think, something like that. And because we knew that it was coming out, we knew the order book was gonna open. We just didn't really know exactly what time it was. So I think it's about an hour and a half into the video. So I think we started at 7 o'clock or 7:30, something like that.
It was just before 7, I think.
Yeah, and we were sort of filling a bit of air like we are right now. just wondering about different things, and then bang it arrived. And yeah, so Paul, you sort of ordered one. Well, I mean, I guess you always were going to order one eventually, but you just weren't necessarily going to order it there and then.
Oh, look, it was literally an hour before you rang. I was actually discussing with Leonie because I think then they were talking about the Model Y being the safest car or something like that. And yeah, and I was saying, oh, it's a lot better than the iMove in terms of safety. So, and then you rang, and then she thought it was a setup. And then she said, oh, yeah, I suppose if it's like 60-something thousand and that stuff, yeah, okay. And then when the price came out, and I was just like, oh, well, forgiveness as opposed to permission, just get it done.
Well, she never said no. And
she didn't say no.
You know,
and she was only bitching about it for about a month after she's got it, and now she loves the car. So, yeah. She just says, I've got the better Tesla, so...
So the order special is just if you sort of bury down a little, go a bit further, and it was on the 10th of June.
Yeah.
So
right.
And as part of that, unfortunately, Paul wasn't, because Paul was basically clicking on the update, get updated link, and that hadn't actually updated. But the rest of us were actually going directly to the order page itself. And look, it's just great video. I think it's about halfway. You can just scroll. In fact, we can do it live because it's kind of fun.
Oh, I remember that one. It was awesome.
So, you know, at the start, it was just us prattling on. And all you need to do is when you're scrolling is just go forward a bit. And when you see this, oops, something went wrong, you just keep going until it stops, which is about here.
Oh, well,
And you get
don't care.
19s or 20s.
Getting a performance anyway. Don't want time for this.
Oh yeah, definitely getting a performance. So white. That's it. That's all you got to do. White performance.
Yeah.
Job done.
No bar, scroll down, put your details in.
Let's have the white interior conversation again.
Oh! It's on.
That cracks me up every time.
I'm not getting it.
I think it's about 30 seconds.
Oh, it is. You're right. Yeah.
I'm in.
I'm refreshing.
You're not that refreshing, Paul.
Ah,
You're really not.
Hey, we got the car. It's all good.
Well, we got the car. Well, you got the car before us.
No.
Much before us.
No, well, you got the standard range before me, so.
Yeah, but that wasn't the car I ordered. That was an in-betweenie.
Oh, well. It is what it is, sort of stuff.
And poor Ken, Ken was with us earlier today. His car has only just arrived at Fremantle, and he ordered it. He was probably about the third person to get an order in, and his car has literally only just turned up, and it's one of these. So,
wow,
it's one of these. He actually got a blue with a black interior. And as it so happens, there must have been a mix-up at Tesla. There was 0 blue with black interior performance-wise made in the previous batch. It was just omitted.
Wow.
So his is one of those 400 or 500, 420 Model Ys and 80 Model 3s.
Cool.
Wow.
Surprising it wasn't 420 Model Ys and 69 Model 3s. But
yeah, that would have
been perfect.
That
should always be the ratio. and I believe there's a lot of performance ones in that. I can't remember the exact number, but it was like at least a couple of hundred performance wise.
Yeah. It was going.
But anyway,
James is on his way.
Oh, nice.
See you, James. Take care. Oh, and put that thing in the comments. Now, just very quickly before you go, the Strike, is that a bowling place? Is that what it is?
It has bowling, karaoke, escape room, all sort of games, video games, and that.
And is that in Wellington Street? Is that right?
It's sort of up on the Murray Street, up the level. Yeah, it's attached to Myer. It's like on the side of Myer. So you park in the park above the train station, free after 6 o'clock, walk across the undercover bridge, and you're on the same level.
Okay, cool. I'll look it up. I'll look it up. Cool. Awesome. Thanks, James. Take
No
care.
worries.
We'll see you
Yeah.
next week. Oh, we'll see you maybe next week there or wherever,
Yeah.
wherever there is.
Yep. Okay. See ya, wherever
Awesome.
it is.
Cheers.
See ya.
Hey, Pete, are you organising the go-karting or is it who's doing that?
Yeah.
I bought the ticket and everything. I just found out I've got a calendar clash, so I've got,
Bugger.
you got one extra place, mate.
Okay.
I'll fix. I can get you a refund.
Oh, okay.
Richard. So just remind me tomorrow, please.
Okay, I'll send you an email or something. Okay, cool.
No,
Thanks.
just ring me. No, just ring me. Oh no, not tomorrow because I've got. Just hang on 2 seconds. But yeah, I'll sort that out, Richard.
Thanks,
That's cool. But yeah, give me a ring on Friday.
Yeah, I'll do that. Thank you.
Cool. All right. So we got any like last drinks or anything? We don't have to go till 11. Like I said, we've got the shareholder meeting, so that I don't know if that's going to be particularly interesting. They don't, Pete. I don't think they normally really. Well, they don't really announce anything at the shareholders meeting in general, and there are questions from the floor, but they're not normally analysts, are they? It's normally just shareholders that. Well, Galileo Russell might be there and he might ask a question, and the people from Peter probably have no more questions to ask because there are no more animal products used in seats or steering wheels or anything like that.
Rob now might be there and guys like that. So,
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Gary
Yeah, okay.
Black normally asks the question.
So that'd be advertising, wouldn't it? When are you going to start advertising?
Yeah, God, I hope they just say never. Just never. The Cybertruck will advertise for them.
Well, the thing is, Tesla's getting a lot better at, I guess you'd call it social media advertising or
marketing.
viral marketing, really?
Yeah. You don't need to do paid advertising. They've got their own. Just do their in-house stuff.
Only cost him 40 billion.
42.
44.
Yeah.
Oh, 42
42.
billion.
I was 44, but it wasn't just him. So I think it cost him. What did it cost him? 13? Anyway, it doesn't matter. A lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, actually, I have got one thing I can recommend, and that is
a lotto numbers.
No.
Oh, what?
Where is it? It's Lucid's channel. Here we go. Lucid Motors. Now, I know that sounds like a strange thing to recommend, but if you have a look at just youtube.com/Lucid Motors, and they actually have really good tech talks.
Oh, they do.
So they've got the drive unit is actually really interesting.
Oh.
And I forget the gentleman's name, this engineer here, he actually was on the Model S program.
Peter Rollinson.
This way, yeah.
Peter Rollinson.
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
Now, what I'll show you very quickly is what you need to do.
Hi everyone, Peter here from Lucid Motors again with another tech talk.
Now that's just far too slow. So what I recommend you do is just doing that 25% faster. And
today there's a palpable sense of excitement here because this is the tech talk that I know so many of you have been long waiting.
It's so much better. So, and what he actually
I was going to say double speed.
Well, yeah, if you got that sort of mind, but they actually go through the innovative motor and all the features of it, which are actually quite good. And embarrassingly, their motor is actually better than the Tesla Plaid one for many reasons.
Did you see Sandy Munro's teardown of and saw the difference between the differentials in the Plaid compared to that one? Seven times less torque needed. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
In fact, the differential is right there. That's the diff.
Yeah, that's the size of the diff.
And it's inside the rotor. So that's the rotor there, and that's the shaft that the rotor sits on, and that's the diff that's inside that shaft. And it's so small because diffs break if you apply too much torque or force, but of course, normal diffs, you've got the reductions already happened, so you've got giant amounts of torque having to go through the diff. This diff is in the center of the actual rotor, and it's before the reduction gearing. So the difference is with Lucid, they have reduction gears on either side of the actual motor itself. But to be honest, and it's good for us not to be blind Tesla fanboys. If you look at Lucid's motor on any measure, it's superior. But I mean, that's okay, because Tesla doesn't have to be superior in every component. And I think Lucid's a lot dearer too.
Yeah, they're not building hundreds of thousands of them like Tesla are.
Exactly.
2,500 and a quarter.
But yeah, I can highly recommend Lucid's, just those Tech Talk videos, because and especially the motor one is actually quite interesting. And it just the style. I really wish that, Franz von Holzhausen and some other Tesla engineers did something similar, a bit of a deep dive into some of the technology that Tesla does and is proud of, but they don't really spruik.
Speaking of deep dives, Drew Brancolino did a pretty deep mud dive after that lithium launch.
Did he? I haven't. Have you got the link for it?
Cool. I'll send it through. No, so yeah, no, he got the Cybertruck stuck in pretty deep mud apparently. It got it bogged.
So Mr. Cooper has the whole world in his hands.
I bought that when I was in Siena in Italy. It was absolutely fascinating. They had 5 of them, and I bought this one, and I couldn't figure out how it worked. I'll leave it with you guys. Tell me next week how you think this works.
I'm going to zoom in. Hang on a sec. I'm going to find out.
How does that work?
It works by spinning, Richard.
It does, but why?
Is it magnets?
Magnets?
Yeah, it is magnets. Yeah, it's magnets.
Yeah, but where's the drive force?
I would say.
Now, just one question. This one is not powered at all, is it? It's totally passive.
It's just sitting on the desk and it just goes when I turn the lights on. I'll give you a hint.
And is the base crystal or?
No, it's just they're just some acrylic rods.
Okay.
Figured it out. I couldn't figure it out. My son showed me how it worked. He
So the acrylic rods, they've got no metal bits. There's no magnets on the tips of the rods.
No, they're just bits of acrylic.
And at the base, it's not powered. You don't put an AC adapter into this thing.
No, it's not powered at all. It just sits there.
Okay, that's interesting.
You turn the lights out, it stops.
Yeah, but when you say it stops, does it stop?
Stop.
Is it touching? Is it actually touching anything? Is the globe touching anything?
Just those 3 rods.
It touches the rods, does it?
Yeah, it's sitting on those 3 rods.
Oh, I thought it was floating. Sorry, I thought it was floating.
Is it solar powered?
Well, it is.
Yeah,
it's solar powered. But I'll tell you how it works.
Oh, yeah, no, I do know.
Go on.
Because the thing inside, the actual sphere is not spinning. It's the thing that's inside the sphere.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So the ball that touches the rods, you can hold it and it will still work.
Yeah.
So there's a globe inside the acrylic sphere.
Yeah.
But why is it spinning? It's sheer genius. Okay, I'll tell you. It's got 3 solar cells inside, 3 solar cells inside, and a little tiny motor that's geared down to the max. And on top of that motor, there's a big magnet, and the magnet points north. So when the motor spins, it's like a compass that's spinning the base. It's genius. It's absolutely. So it wouldn't work at the North Pole because there's no north, you see.
Yeah.
But here, it's just genius. I was captivated by it. Anyway, I bought one. So
that's cool.
Isn't that clever?
So how many euros was that, Richard?
Yeah, too many. It's a couple of hundred.
Ooh, ouch.
It wasn't cheap, but I love it. It sits there and I love it. It's fascinating.
That's a great memory. So
yeah, great. Exactly. I got one of those things that's the it levitates. It's a base, it's sort of
Oh, yeah.
hexagonal. No. The thing is a coaster. It's like a coaster and it's spherical, but it's on a hexagonal base, and it's you can actually hold like a midi of beer on it. It holds about 500 grams.
Wow.
Which is pretty cool, but yeah, not cheap either.
But it doesn't rotate.
No, you can spin it, but it
Yeah,
will
no,
keep it will spin, but it doesn't rotate. It doesn't keep rotating.
It just sits there. I love it. It's just genius. I had to have it just to figure it out. Anyway, you've got to have toys.
Yeah,
You do.
You have toys.
Not all your toys can be cars.
No. Anyway, there you go.
Well, the Globe's cheaper than a Tesla, so there you go.
Globe's cheaper than all the things I add to the bloody Tesla.
Absolutely. Alrighty. Got any last comments or questions before we take this awesome show out?
Oh, which awesome show?
Well, yeah.
The one you got to watch after we finish.
That's exactly right.
Sorry.
The show that's linked up. That's linked up here in the video. Yeah, in the links.
Yeah, time to go.
Yeah, exactly. Alrighty. Well, don't forget, for anyone that's skipped forward, which is a good thing to do, always skip forward to the end because there's always something juicy. We won't have an Ask Us Anything next week. We'll have a casual meetup, and we'll have one according to how people vote in the comments below. After you've liked and subscribed, and clicked the notification bell. Pete, how would you close out a great program like this?
As always, stay safe, stay sustainable, and stay ahead of the curve.
The best way to do that is buy a Tesla, join Tokwa, and ask us anything about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. Have an awesome night, everyone. We won't see you next week. We will see you at the casual meetup. And for everyone on YouTube, just come to our face-to-face meetup, and we'll see you in a fortnight on the next episode of Ask Us Anything. Good night, everyone.
Night,
Night, boys.
No.